Did Dawn cannot make it.
Right, that's what I thought, okay. Yeah, so I'll call the meeting to order. Matt, you wanna get into the CIP?
Yes, sure. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, there's a couple changes to the document that I have up on the screen. And also you should have it in your Google Drive for today's meeting. And it's linked to the agenda. The first one here is under the
Matt?
yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. Can you make it a little larger? We actually have a guest. We have a member of the public here.
Member of the budget committee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the public.
Sorry, and the public.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
they like it, yeah, I think you can see it now?
Can you see it now?
Yeah,
Okay, so the first thing here is adding within 2 years under priority B. So needed in the near future. Okay. Then the second thing is adding a funding source column to each of the items. So what I did is like normal budget process would be coming out of the operating budget somehow, or in this particular case, a lease agreement, because it's going to be either or. Like air exchange is such a large project, it's either going to be a lease agreement or it's going to be a bond. Fire suppression upgrades is going to, again, that's such a big project, it would either be a lease agreement or a bond. And then roof replacement, we try to get those through on our normal budget cycle, but we try. Otherwise, we can do a lease agreement to get those done. Now, that would be for a small one like the Biggie Elementary. Okay. Now, under memorial, all these 4 items right here, since they would be like grouped in as one big giant project, those would be perfect for a bond issue. And then if we scroll on down at the high school athletic field, now this is the paving part of it. And this is where we left off at the last meeting. And these, we feel that those would fall under a normal budget process, like the other items. Okay. Now, to start off with the paving of the tennis court, we had Jen Mitchinson at one of our meetings talking about the importance of having a paved area as an overflow or in addition to student parking for the high school. Because right now they're having they're running into the upper end of utilizing all the parking spaces on the property. Okay.
yeah, but we all, yeah, I think then we decided that we're gonna do some more research to look for another area that would accommodate more parking spaces.
We were gonna look at options. Would it make more sense to expand a row
Right.
somewhere because it was 45,000 for that lot? So I think what I would say for this one is the A part is the parking. The B part is where, right? So it's just, it again, this is a living document. So it doesn't mean that just because we adopt the document that we're gonna do this first. It means that we need to discuss it first.
Yeah. My comment on something being a living document is that definition, that partition makes sense. Because a living document can take on a life of its own if previous people aren't involved when it comes up again.
Right, the institutional memory is the problem that school
Right.
districts face. Like when I took over and the entire team was gone
Yeah,
and the board was new, that was really hard.
the thing that stuck out to me on this
Yeah.
is when Jen was talking about the parking, she said that she's got no complaints about this. That there might be an issue in the winter. This was at like 49 minutes into the video. She's had no complaints about it. There might be an issue in the winter and they won't be able to offer any parking to sophomores. Well, I don't know that offering parking to sophomores, that's never been done. I don't know that that's such a big deal. The real issue is parking for juniors. And I really think you do need to look into not only other options, but to what extent that parking is really necessary.
I agree, and I think that that's a conversation for the board, which is why it's on the plan, because the board may work on this and say, no, we're gonna leave it as is. But it should be discussed so it's transparent. So Matt, I would recommend that we pave the tennis court area to address parking concerns at the high school. Not even concerns, address potential parking concerns. And then put, in the middle, one option A would be to consider the tennis court lot, and option B would be, reviewing and considering other areas on the campus that may be expanded for less money. Doesn't mean that we're going to do it, we're reviewing it.
Also see the parking policy.
Yeah.
What determines whether someone qualifies to be a part of the lottery or not?
Right, and that's all part of the board discussion about the direction that they want this to go.
Yeah.
So if Matt and Dan, get information about potential parking areas and real paving quotes, because I hate these estimates. I want to know what the real cost would be.
Right.
We bring all that to the board, and the board says, we bring the policies, and we just have an open, transparent discussion about it, and then we decide, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Right, but the reality is that even before the 6th grade move, people were kind of commenting that they were concerned that moving the middle school to the high school took away high school parking. And my response was, the building was built for 1,100 people and it only has 775 people in it. I don't really know what the parking issue is, so even for me, before I'm comfortable making a recommendation to the board, I need more information.
That's a great point.
And there's that, this is an A because the parking is very tight. That's really kind of an assumptive statement that isn't necessarily true. That ought to come off of it.
So it is true though, like if you go over there midday, the parking is very tight. I have to go in and out of the high school a lot, and it is full. So it is true that it's full, but that's okay.
Well, it's interesting though, in light of your comment, that the building was built for 1,100 people,
Right.
and there's 775 here now. Where is that additional parking?
Well, I don't want to I don't want to make a mistake or misstate my concern.
Yeah,
I think they didn't build enough parking when they built the building,
that may be.
Mhm.
right? It's a building for 1,100 students. How can the parking be the way it is? It's my opinion that they under engineered the parking. Now,
Okay,
Estimated that sophomores won't be driving.
exactly, I don't want to make that assumption. I want to get the facts and then have a conversation.
so can you consider, I'm sorry, jumping in, can you consider what I have up on the screen? So I said, address potential parking concerns. I have option A, B, and C. Option A is the tennis court parking lot. Option B is consider other areas on the campus. And option C is consider the school board parking. Consider adjustments.
Yeah, the only thing I would
The-
recommend is take. Go ahead.
I'll wait to see what you say.
I would
I
make
didn't
the
hear you.
5,000 TBD, because this is gonna be all over the place, and I don't wanna mislead anyone.
And I'd also make it a B. The only reason being is that Jen said that there's an issue right now that every senior has a spot. Every junior has a spot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an A in a time where we're gonna have to find money to do other things.
I agree.
I
Okay,
still address it.
All right.
I think
so I'm gonna take off this. I'm gonna make this a B, but I'm also gonna make the other item above it a B. Because if you're gonna be doing paving, it's cheaper to do paving for all of your projects.
But
Okay,
Matt,
and I'll-
isn't there a deterioration concern with the $10,000 one, the athletic field? I mean, you could get a driveway paver in here to do that. I'm
Yeah,
just about the wear and tear.
Yeah, so you're concerned about protecting the investment of the 120 something thousand on
Right.
the track.
yes,
Right.
yes. Right now, we're putting rubber mats down on the track, okay? So I think that the wear and tear, if we wait one more year, is not gonna be as significant as if we waited like 5 or 10 years.
Okay,
Jim, do you disagree? Do you think that should be an A?
well, I think if you've got a plan for it, and that plan makes sense to you, and it's not a concern, then I'm fine with that.
How about you?
You know, I don't know what you're putting, you said putting rubber mats on, just like walk-off mats?
Yeah, so they can walk over the track,
Yeah, I mean,
because people get dirt all over
we
there.
manufacture them, I could maybe have my company donate some if we need some.
Yeah.
Until we until we do it, if you need more.
Yeah, okay, I think we're okay
So,
for
yeah,
now.
I mean, it does make sense to do them both at the same time, in my opinion.
Okay,
Okay, are we all set with the parking?
yes,
Okay, so the next one here is security upgrades. And this is just a generic one. We have some security deficiencies with the campus, such as the main entrances and windows. I'm gonna say access to the main entrance and windows. We're considering security features that would limit access to the main entrance, like reducing the likelihood of accessing through the windows. And this should be in the facilities committee goal for this year, identifying and planning these upgrades. So like, say, for example, we spoke about bollards. We also spoke about window film. Right now and just also, I put this in as a normal budget process. We've tried to get grant funding through the state for this year. And right now that they've declined it. They went with one of the other schools with a lot of security upgrades at that school. Also keep in mind too, that we're gonna have an assessment probably this winter from the New Hampshire Emergency Management about our security as well. So honestly, I'd like to try to change this right here where it's a facility goal for this year for identifying the upgrades. I'd like to listen to what the plan comes back from the state. But I also would like to try to limit access to the main entrances through the doors and through the windows.
Don't you already have that with the security doors and the doors are locked after the school is closed? And you've got the office windows and,
let me help with a couple of quick things.
Okay.
I think I can speed this up. What the problem is that if we did have, heaven forbid, because it's very, very scary. But the reality is that in all of our buildings, we don't protective material that helps the glass to not shatter if it gets shot is very expensive. And we have a lot of first floor windows. So there are two things that we were looking to address to start off. One is putting the film on the offices, because that's kind of the center for calling for help. And it's the most likely place to get attacked first. So it would slow things. Remember, you're buying time. The second piece is to put bollards up to stop someone from driving a vehicle through those doors that you just described, Jim. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that it's not security like breaking into a door, breaking into a window. It's protective wrap for the windows in the main offices to slow things down.
I know we visited that last year. And I thought the consensus was the time that you gained versus the risk was not worth the cost.
For the whole building.
You've got other
Yes.
types of protection here now.
Yes, for the whole building.
Right,
But we're revisiting it for just the main offices.
okay.
So it's way less expensive than doing the whole first floor of the high school.
And when you say revisiting, is there data on places that have used this and it's given them any kind of help?
Yeah, that's what we want to have a conversation about, because as it says on there, this should be a facilities committee goal this year, identify and plan those upgrades. We may identify that we don't do one of them.
Yeah.
Remember, we're not saying that we have to do it. We just want to have an open and transparent conversation so that it's on the record that we had it
Okay,
and that it's clear. I'm not even sure. I don't have enough information today to make the decision. That's why it's in the plan,
okay.
is to have a conversation.
The film was last year, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember, yeah, I remember,
It was before you were on.
I remember the discussion of the dollars.
Yeah,
The bollards are important from my perspective.
all right.
Yeah, it's some of the entrances like at Bakey and Memorial, those windows that would lead into the hallway wouldn't stop someone from shooting them out.
So Matt, can you put normal budget process / possible grants under funding? Because we're going to want to look for grant funding for anything with that before we spend any money.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've tried to get some too, and we were just recently denied.
Yeah, but we'll keep shooting. Oh,
Yeah.
So the A part of this is to identify and plan or consider these upgrades. I'd say consider instead of plan. But I guess considering is part of planning.
yeah. It's fine.
So maybe
I
that's,
just changed it.
and the rest of the goal should be B. I'm just throwing that out there, because again, these things can take on a life of their own.
They
So-
can, they can.
If the intention is to identify and plan, and that's an A, that's different than the intention to implement things. What do we got, 4 months left in the, well, we got.
Here, why don't I separate this thing out like that? And then we can make it a B, I don't care.
Okay,
Well, the only thing I would just suggest, because it's a security issue, I'd keep it an A. Just because it's an A doesn't mean we're doing anything with it this year. It doesn't mean we're tying a financial cost to it, right?
Right,
I think it's an A priority that we're gonna have to make sure we keep as a topic of conversation.
I agree. I have to say, I feel that the bollards are an A priority.
Mhm.
They are, it is not, we just couldn't get to it during COVID.
I don't even see bollards in here.
No, that would be something that would be addressed in the conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, so on my original plan, I had these as granite blocks. And the idea of having a granite block as a barrier.
you had benches or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, a generic term like security upgrades is probably better, because then the committee can identify what the options are and weigh them, and then also consider the financial impact of those before it gets to the school board.
Okay. All right, anything else?
All right. Siding. The siding on the side of the building, this is an A. We need to start addressing this. We're getting some major leaks in the high school main office. The lighting in the atrium hallway, we've had to reattach because we have water intrusion in through the siding now. So one of the things that I'm looking for is to this is like actually identifying a solution and start to work on funding it.
Okay, I remember when we did a little tour of the outside. And there was some areas that were fairly immediate, and I guess they've become very immediate. There were other areas that you were gonna phase in. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, so I think an overall plan, if we were to do the plan as one big number, it's just too big. I don't think anyone could swallow that. So really, I think what the best thing to do is to do selected walls, like go from worst to best, and pick them off over, say, a 5-year period. There's really 2 areas that I want to focus in on. The first being over the high school office. That's number 1, and number 2 would be over the library space, because we're still having leaking in the library. So when you're at a school board meeting, look up at the ceiling, you can still see that's open, and we're still trying to chase down where that water's coming in.
What was the library, what?
So over in the library,
No, you mentioned it, you said library with a
I said
modified
space. I said
okay.
space.
Okay. Anybody have anything on that?
No, I mean, do we wanna add just? I know it says here, assess the siding of the concept of a rotation for replacement. I mean, I think we've sort of, I don't wanna say decided, but I think we have to take that approach, right? So maybe,
How about rotation for 5-year replacement, Matt?
that might be better. I think we agree we're not gonna do it all in one shot. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the worst. Yeah. Still keeping it.
Perfect. I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one right here. This one here, I'm placing as a D. Heating and cooling improvements. The estimated useful life of a commercial HVAC system is about 40 years. And what we need to consider in the system is whether we can do upgrades to it for more efficiencies, or we need to start cooling the facility to improve security. But these are considerations that we need to make before it goes to the school board. Okay. This isn't something that needs to happen right now, because currently the boilers are 17 years and they can last longer. However, we have other competing interest here where, say, for example, the second floor of the middle school wing is just so super hot at the beginning of school. Those areas we might want to consider phasing in like a cooling, somehow to cool that side of the building.
Is it, yeah, I mean, typically the tube's clad, right? I mean, on a boiler. I don't know about the exterior, is it proper ventilation in the boiler room or no?
I'd have to, I'm not, I don't feel versed enough in that, Matt. Matt,
Yeah,
can you
I
speak
mean,
to that?
typically when you get cladding, it's on the interior of the boiler, right?
Yeah,
Over
and
years
that's-
of time, if you don't do blowdowns and stuff, so I think the exterior, at least in my experience, is due to either, you know, venting issues or, inefficient chemical.
What's happened in the past is these boilers, when you start them up in the fall,
Mhm.
they leak
Oh,
in sections. And then they tighten up like an old boat.
yeah. Our boilers at the high school.
Expand and they tighten up. So what happens is the outside that you're talking about
Mhm.
corrodes and rusts. So they've been replacing them as they get to the point where they're gonna fail, section by section.
That was the boiler at Bakey though.
But isn't it high
No,
school
no.
boiler?
He's
Go
talking
ahead,
about
Matt.
the cladding on the high school boiler. He's correct with that. We have been replacing the cladding of the boiler because as something leaks, it's rotting the exterior of the boiler.
And
So-
did it expand the way that the ones at Bakey used to, Matt, or is it a different design?
They're all the same. They're all like these sandwich together pieces, and they can leak in between. And there's like several ways to solve that. One is to replace the seal. Another one's to replace that whole vane. But I think right now the boilers at the high school are in really good shape. So really, this is like a long-term planning thing where we need to keep it on our radar. Where they're only 17 years old, they're not at end of life. However, we have other competing interests where the HVAC system is not big enough to handle like any air conditioning. So this is a long-term consideration and planning.
Anything else, Rick?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
Keep going, Matt.
Okay, like the boilers, the roof at the high school is in excellent shape. This is a placeholder. This is really just to kind of like keep it on our radar. When that roof does go, it is huge. And we're gonna have the financing for that's gonna be pretty substantial. I don't think a bond would be great if we could plan for it a year in advance. I think it's gonna end up being a lease agreement with some other project on top of that. Because if it fails, it's gonna fail suddenly.
Would that be like a lease agreement with something like the solar?
Yeah, you can do solar, you can do LED lighting, you can do what are some of the other things they combine it with? HVAC upgrades. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to offset savings in energy needs to fund the cost of replacing the roof.
So you brought solar up, that's the next line. I think whenever we're doing something like that, we need to require a cost benefit analysis
Mhm.
as part of it. So that I think should be in there.
Yep. I went to Oyster River Middle School this morning.
Yeah.
For a meeting with the superintendents. 100% net zero. They're sending energy back to the grid. They have solar everywhere. It's amazing. All geothermal. The cost savings to the community is just amazing, especially with the way the electric prices just spiked. But it was very expensive to build.
Yeah, so you need to know what the payback is.
Yeah, the ROI.
Right,
Yeah, I ran into the construction manager for that project, and the square footage price, even though it was greater than a normal build, it wasn't significantly more. It was really within the realm of a reasonable consideration.
I really think that the solar piece with the way that our electric there may be a point where it's going to be worth having a detailed conversation about the correlation between electric, whatever we do with the lighting, the heating, and the roof, because there's a point where we're going to be paying so much in utilities that there may be diminishing return to continue.
I'm fine with this as long as we put in that it will require a cost benefit analysis.
Thank you,
Yeah, he
Jim.
put in-
And I added a sentence to it. A cost
Okay,
benefit analysis will be required to move this project forward.
okay,
Okay,
yep,
all right. Moving on to facilities and grounds. The first one here is a snow removal equipment. We have a large snow blower right now that's at end of life and requires significant maintenance prior to the start of each winter. And we're considering replacing it with a multi-use vehicle. So at the next facilities meeting, I'm actually going to bring forward a vehicle for the committee to consider. And we can go out and we can view the unit that we want to replace, and then talk about the unit that we want to replace it with and the benefits of that unit. The estimate that was given to us was about $55,000, and we're going to consider a lease agreement with this unit.
speaking of trucks, have we gotten our Ford F, whatever it was?
We got the VIN for it.
The VIN for it?
Yeah, they have not built it yet.
Did you get an air freshener for you?
Got a Sanborn bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Okay,
So just so that everyone's aware, this is not another truck. This is actually a multi-use vehicle. So like in the summertime, it will mow. In the wintertime, it will blow snow. Okay. The next item down is a 1-ton stake truck. Currently we have 2 1-ton stake trucks, and we hope to get at least 13 years out of the vehicles. And actually we are always evaluating whether we need these large 1-ton vehicles, dual wheel vehicles. And we do consider replacing them with single axle truck. So the truck that we just spoke about is a single axle 1-ton truck, and it's going to be easier to snowplow, and we're using it for facility maintenance where we're putting a utility bed on the back of it. The future consideration is we actually move around furniture with these stake trucks. We currently have 2 of them. We might not need 2. We could probably go back down to like a pickup truck and then utilize our trailers more. Okay. So, and again, this is a priority D. It's far into the future. It's not something that is on the near horizon, unless of course we lose one of our vehicles. And if we're going to be purchasing something like this, we're going to be using a lease agreement to pay for it.
Rick,
Okay.
all right, next.
The next one is Chase Field rehabilitation. So right now the Chase Field is configured for high school use 50 or more years ago, and it's out of date. What we've been talking about is maybe upgrading the field to have off-street parking, reconfigure the playing fields to be more up to date, and also put in maybe a maintenance garage to park some of our equipment. Right now, we've had some significant rehabilitation to some of the surfaces, but there are other parts of the field that are just like the running track is gone. It's still there, but it's not in a good maintainable shape right now. Again, this is a long-term project. This is something that we would consider through a normal budget process.
Now, what does it mean out of date for our current use? What does that mean?
Well, I don't think the playing field was considering soccer at the time. So right now the baseball field is in with the soccer field, and then they put softball in the track area. So it's not like, it's like we added things to the field without consideration of the overall facility.
just so I'm clear. Chase Field, the field is right down the street there, correct?
Yes.
So I just want, when you say soccer, I think rec soccer. I don't think, does any of the high school soccer teams practice there?
Actually, I think I think the rec soccer practice is there. I think middle school practice
Rec
is there.
Rec soccer is not the school, right? That's the town.
It's complicated, and it's the same thing. with
Yeah.
Swayze.
They're
Oh,
feeder.
When we say
Um,
when we say it's outdated for current use, I think we might want to define what the current use is first. Because the only thing that I know that's done with the school there, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is football practice. Right?
I would not know, I'd need to ask.
Yeah, I
That's
think
part of the
Yeah.
the football team practices there.
Yeah,
I don't
we
know
actually,
baseball, I know soccer doesn't.
Okay.
I don't think softball does.
I can
I know
answer some of this.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the springtime, the high school fields actually get flooded. And when you try to step out onto the field, you'll sink in up to your ankles. And so we don't allow people onto the field in the early spring. So you're going to find our varsity baseball out on Chase Field. You're going to find all the spring sports all set up out there.
Okay.
If there's no drainage on the high school field at that moment.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
So Matt, I grew up with sandlot baseball. I'm just wondering to what level of professionalism you want these fields to achieve? I mean, are we looking at AAA ball here or somewhere just adequate for playing fields for community use and whatever times the school uses them?
I honestly think that's going to be a consideration for a future facilities committee.
Okay,
If this is going to be a project that gets moved forward. This is just a long-term
all right.
placeholder where we've identified that the field just needs to be updated.
Yeah, the field it's multi-use, it's not set up correctly, I do agree with that, the track is defunct at best. You know, I mean, it's not really a track, it's a walking path at best, you know, that's what it is now. So, I think this is a very long conversation, this is a long project, this is redesign, this is, what are we really gonna use it for? This is a long-term thing, you know, like, this isn't something that's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would go on the record as saying at some point, unless our enrollments increase a lot, there's gotta be a conversation at some point between the board and the town of Kingston or the rec programs.
What to do.
At what point do we turn it over or sell it? And then what point do we have a conversation, it's not on here, but the Swayze gym, right? Because I've talked with the basketball folks quite a bit and they are interested. But that's another conversation for another day, but I noticed the Swayze gym, is it on this list, Matt?
It is not.
Okay, all right, well, let's keep going, I don't want.
Yeah, I don't think in gym, like, look, I don't think anybody wants perfect fields, right, but that baseball field's atrocious. I mean,
Yeah.
It's, even with the work they did, it's still bad. You know what I mean, like,
And it's a lot.
you want the
better.
kids to be safe.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the work that we did was to make it safe, though. The infield work, I don't know about the rest of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, the infield been made safe.
Okay. All right, so.
Okay.
Next, yep.
All right, so we're on to information technology, and I believe we're almost there. The first one is servers and switches. Right now, the servers and switches are beyond useful life, and some of the pieces of equipment are up to 7 years old in our ownership. And most of these pieces of equipment we bought used. So we don't really know what the true age.
Refurbished used, but used, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know what the true age of some of these pieces of equipment are. So we're working towards a 5-year replacement plan. And you can see that there's an A right there. So you might want to expect a conversation this fall.
Is this different than the switches or the servers and switches that we just put a bunch of money into? Was that just wireless?
That was just wireless. So servers and switches would be where you're connecting, you know, the wall plugs into like a hub. Your hub would be a switch. And then I think everyone knows what a server is. It's just like a computer that stores and processes.
I thought it was something that brought you your meals at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or dad.
Yeah.
Have you looked at an off-site servers option for redundancy?
Yeah, actually, I think what you're gonna hear this fall is that the district has been moving a lot of its services to hosted situations. Like our accounting system is hosted now, okay?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna need there is better internet connectivity rather than better servers, okay?
Mhm.
So you're gonna hear more, we're not buying the top of the line fastest servers. We're actually gonna probably be talking about more smaller servers, smaller hubs, and working towards more of a hosted kind of processing.
So rather than hardware, it's connectivity.
Well, this is still, you're still gonna need some hardware to manage your
Right,
server,
but
your
in terms of-
network.
In terms of the ratio.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yep.
The next one is phone systems. So currently we've replaced the phone system at the high school, middle school. We haven't replaced the one at the central office, Beakey Elementary and Memorial schools. All these phone systems are all incompatible in our end of life. And so with a newer system, we can move to a internet-based protocol and move off of our copper-based connection and actually reduce our line costs. So that's something that we're going to be
Voice
addressing.
over IP, Matt,
What?
voice over IP.
Yes, that's correct. So we're going to be looking at those systems this year for installation next summer. Again, this is going to be going through either the normal budget process or a lease agreement. Let me put it in lease agreement. And I'm hoping with this, it's going to be more cost neutral. And the benefits for us is we're going to be able to transfer phone calls throughout the whole district. We're going to be able to call extensions directly. It's going to be so much better than what we've got now.
Should be a savings because you're getting rid of those monthly fees on the copper lines.
Yes. And that's kind of the idea that I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The next one, computer labs. Currently, the district has 3 computer labs that contain between 20 and 25 desktop machines. The average age of these machines is 7 to 8 years old. And we're anticipating replacing a computer lab per year for 3 years. So what we've done here is we're looking at the normal budget process to replace it. We should also put in there the facility use revolving fund. Okay, and we're looking at 35,000 annually with a total of 105,000 for all 3.
So, couple questions. The labs that were built new when we moved the middle school here, those were not computer labs, those were science labs, correct?
We did build a new science lab for the middle school, but we also repurposed some computer labs. So basically we had to move them out of the middle school area and move them into the high school area. And really the cost associated with that was just moving the countertops and the wiring that goes with it. We didn't replace the actual computer hardware at the time.
Okay. And just so you know, when it comes to using reserve funds, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it repeatedly, the public, it was explained to the public that reserve funds needed to be built up, and we've increased those funds. The amount of the warrants used to be 25,000, 50,000. Now they're up 75,000. And the reason that was explained to the public for doing that is because we could tighten up the budget. By building up the reserves, we wouldn't have to have so much additional spending buffer built into the budget, and that was said publicly many times. So
That was
now,
Go ahead.
if we're gonna be hitting these reserve funds, and the facilities reserve fund is different because we have regular income from that.
Yeah, it's
not-
the revolving fund, it's not a
It's not
reserve,
the
it's different.
taxpayer.
Yeah, it's not taxpayer money.
But I also think there should be a limit on the facilities revolving fund, because we only get so much income in a year. And it's not fair to the taxpayers, unless it's an emergency, to reduce those funds. So even with the facilities revolving fund, I think we need to put a cap, unless it's an emergency, on how we're gonna be tapping those monies. I'm just putting that out there, because I'm gonna say that repeatedly every time reserve funds come up.
Well, we have good news about the reserve funds, but I'll save that because it's not an appropriate time.
Okay, all right,
All right, you all set with this?
Rick,
Yeah, I'm also.
okay.
Okay, the next one is classroom microphone and sound system. So we're in the initial phases of evaluating by research whether classroom microphone and speaker systems would be effective for our classrooms. From this, we'll better understanding the size and cost for fitting up at each classroom. Our initial thoughts are a system that is installed in the classroom where a teacher is wearing a wireless mic. The system will not be installed in all classrooms, but will rather be installed in classrooms that would benefit from electronic projection.
So are our classrooms so huge that we need the voice magnification?
I'll speak to this one. I wanted this put in.
For what?
There's research that shows that when teachers use a voice no, it's not loud, Jim. It's not like, it just makes it very easy to hear the teacher across the classroom. That it
Mhm.
increases engagement dramatically. What I wanted was a placeholder to have this conversation,
Okay,
right? I'm not saying that we're going to do it, but we would need to first look at the efficacy. We would have to review the cost, and then we'd also have to review the most important places to do it. So my instinct is K2 is the first place to do it, right? Because I don't know if you've been to a K2 classroom lately, but I have a lot the last few weeks, and they can at times be very challenging to get the focus. And I have seen these systems in play in classrooms. It is incredibly effective.
so this is more of a mental tool to put the teacher on the under the spotlight and get the focus on the teacher.
Well, no, what it does is that you can hear the teacher clearly wherever the teacher is in the room. It's
Oh, I
actually
see.
just on their lapel.
Okay,
It's not like a microphone. It's like a little tiny microphone.
yeah,
And when they talk, it just amplifies their voice just enough so that everyone can hear clearly. And it does make a dramatic difference. This isn't a pie in the sky wish list thing. It's a real conversation, but it may prove out to be cost prohibitive or only necessary in certain areas.
okay.
And then you have the research, evaluated by research, so it's a longer conversation.
It is,
I'm okay
yes.
with it.
Yep. Okay,
All right, yep,
all right, on to administrative. Again, is my classroom furniture discussion, where classroom furniture needs to be rotated as it wears out. And if we're not being proactive about it, the problem or the cost will become unmanageable. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to work it into our normal budget cycle for $50,000 a year.
well, we had a lot of discussion about this, and I'm much happier with this proposal than the
The
prior
original,
ones.
yes, me too.
And didn't we, if I remember correctly, didn't we cut this out of the budget last year, or didn't we cut furniture out?
It often is a place that gets cut.
Yeah,
Matt,
No.
what did we have for budget for this
I
year?
thought in order to get the budget less than the default.
No,
I thought
Gene-
Jamie suggested to cut.
Yeah.
furniture.
No, he
No,
did, he suggested, but it wasn't a mandate. It just was 50,000 off the.
We ended up cutting the
Yeah.
utility.
So I only took 10,000 out of it, so it was 40,000 that was in the budget.
And we're starting with baking.
Yeah, we did start with Bakey.
Remembering the tour of the other side of the middle school, are we gonna utilize any of the furniture that's in that building before we purchase anything?
We
Oh,
will look at
oh,
what's there.
absolutely.
Yeah, cause
Okay.
I remember, I don't remember exactly, but I remember there was, I thought I recalled seeing some furniture that was of good use.
Rooms and rooms of it.
Yeah,
Mm.
alright.
Yeah, so let me kind of put the furniture that's back there into 4 different buckets. Okay, the first bucket is high school furniture, which is going to be the those one armchair bandits, where they're gray. They came original with the building. They're in great shape. A lot of that furniture ended up there because we received a lot of free furniture from one of our great taxpayers. As the donated furniture wears out, we are moving that high school furniture back in. We're also using that high school furniture in the middle school side of the wing so that it's consistent throughout the whole building and it's easy to move classrooms around and move furniture around. So then another bucket is old middle school furniture, which is more of the middle size. Some of that is finding its way into Memorial, but I think we're now at the max of that. So that's going to end up becoming surplus furniture, and I'm going to go to this committee sometime in the future and start talking about disposing of that furniture in an appropriate manner. And then the remainder of there's 2 more buckets.
Kingston Day bonfire.
Yeah, no, we're not going to have Kingston Day bonfire with it because some of this furniture is
comply with school board policy, Mr. Baker.
yeah. So the next group is going to be like elementary school furniture, and that stuff is stuff that I used when I was a kid. So it was great.
Have inkwells, Matt?
Yes, I had inkwells, yes. And we're still using the Palmer's method in writing. Anyways, so that's going to end up becoming surplus furniture, and we're going to be talking about that as well. And then the next group of furniture is going to be an influx of furniture where we've received some gracious donations from other school districts, such as Oyster River. So when Tom toured the new building, we were able to pick from the old building furniture that we'd like to have. And we took a lot of library furniture that's identical to what we currently have in our high school library. And we're like this week, we're moving out some of the rolling bookshelves to some of the classrooms. Does that help you out with that?
Yeah.
Jim, just for the record, it's important to remember that we kept the tables with the high school so that we could replace them with those first.
Yeah.
But the high school is now 17 years old. Right, Matt, 17 years old?
That's correct.
There's just a point where the wear and tear will start to show. But we need to use what we have first. So Rick makes a really good point.
Okay.
And so Rick, part of Jim's background is he's aware of how much furniture we've stored in the old seminary property that we've had to dispose of because it was mold infused. And it was
bananas.
It was embarrassing. Anyways. All right, moving on to the next thing, LED lights. This has been a topic that I've been talking about for the last couple of meetings. We'd like to try to reduce
years, Matt.
Years, yep. We'd like to reduce our electricity use by 1/3 just by replacing lights. And I think it's going to be done with a lease agreement. It's going to be something that I think we should do this year.
So
Actually,
Matt, this is another one where I want to insert will require a cost benefit analysis. I agree with you that we can save 1/3 by changing bulbs. But as far as fixtures and controls, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, so I'm using the word lights as opposed to fixtures, bulbs, or controls. Lights is a generic term. So it's really up to this committee and the school board to figure out what the solution is going to end up being.
I'm fine with this as long as will require a cost benefit analysis.
Yep, I just added that in. Okay, the next item is the old middle school parking lot.
Yeah,
sorry,
one
wait a minute,
second.
what?
That's, I thought that was being done now, right?
Yeah.
We go back and we ask to add the other building in, right?
Yeah, and we're waiting on the proposal.
Yeah.
You didn't get that proposal yet, did you, Matt, with the additional? with the-
I've not received the proposal, but we're trying to schedule a time to actually get the audit done.
Okay. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
So actually, that was a topic for this week. So it's on our current radar.
We're gonna talk
The next,
on the 19th.
I'm sorry,
Are we gonna talk about it on the 19th?
I don't have any results.
Okay.
So no.
All right.
All right, the next item is the old middle school parking lot. And so basically, if you were to go see the old middle school's lot, it's cracked and it's beyond repair. It needs to be replaced. And we need to maintain that property, and we need to maintain it in good functioning order. Because I think this district's gonna need it in the future. So I'm putting this as an A for consideration for this particular year. And either using the normal budget process or the facility use revolving fund.
Yeah, I've already made my comment about the facility use revolving fund. I won't repeat myself.
But I will say that where a lot of the money that we receive for the facility use revolving fund comes from the
Absolutely.
rent of that facility.
Right,
It is a logical, the parking lot is really quite bad.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's not, oh, it's right there. Yay, it's the next one. Never mind. I'm sorry. I was
I'm
going to
gonna-
Dawn just asked me to continue to make sure that the old middle school back half of the building gets addressed so it doesn't deteriorate further. She just asked me to bring that up because she couldn't be here.
The what?
The old middle school back half, like the rot under those windows.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the
yeah,
door-
yeah.
And she just wants to make sure that we're dealing with that. And there it is, old middle school exterior doors.
Yeah, Matt, I sent you an email on this. I'm looking at the pictures. If you remember, I took a lot of pictures of the doors.
Yes,
Facility. I remember there was one door that I think an interior door that couldn't be opened that needed some immediate repair. There were some other doors that have some rot that I think could be repaired, not just replaced. So I think you should probably put repaired or replaced after we ask them to take a look at them, but I don't know if you have specific doors on here. You said 2 exterior doors. The pictures I show look like, there's some rust. That you can maybe, repair them. So I would just like to see repair. Or
Okay. How about that?
yeah,
I just changed it to repair or replace exterior doors that are rotting on the bottom.
that was my recollection too. Yeah, it looked to me like that door frame, that exterior door frame, the
Yes.
rock could be cut out and new metal put in its place.
Okay. The next item is the boilers at the old middle school. And what I put down here is that the boilers are beyond their life expectancy and need to be replaced. The one that comes to my mind is if you were to go walk into that room, they're in single file. And so the one in front looks in much better condition than the one in the back. And so really we can replace these in a out of order. We don't need to do like we did in Baker where we replaced both of them at the same time.
You all set?
Yeah, I have a picture of that back boiler too. I couldn't find the date it was put in service. I don't know if you have that or not, but it's probably.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I would say that the age of those boilers would be appropriate for the discussion when we're actually talking about replacing them.
Okay.
But I will definitely try to get a age of all the equipment in the district. Okay,
So middle school roof,
yes, middle school roof is currently in good shape. The modulars attached to the building need some repairs, which will be addressed this year. So again, this is a placeholder where the roofs are very expensive items. This is not an A or a B, but rather it's a C, something that's like 2 to 3 years. And has to be on our radar for discussion.
Right, so that concludes the list.
Yes,
I'd like to go back to page 2 if we could.
You had your shot. I'm just kidding.
yeah, we're at page 2.
Okay, school board policy. You talk about school board policy DBC.
Yes,
I think we also need to refer to the policies that govern billing or bidding. I think we need to add policies DJE and EC.
for bidding,
Bidding, yes. Because the policy is that you need 3 bids and anything over 20,000. And that's DJE. And for EC, anything over 2,500, which is a significant alteration to the property. You need to go before the board. So those should be included in there, those policies.
Is that in now? Is that the facilities committee or the school?
Well, I think he's saying prior
Oh,
to,
oh,
but it
okay.
is the school
I
board.
mean, it's,
Yeah,
Jim's right, I mean, it's sort of understood, because it's on this list, it's probably gonna be over 2,500, but it's good to clarify.
It is.
I believe the threshold's 10,000.
And yes,
Well-
Jim said, Matt, you.
no, well, I'm looking at the policy dated. Last update was April 2019, it says 20,000. I think 10,000 is for line item transfer.
That's for the transfers. Jim, since I've met you, I have DJE burning in my brain.
Good,
6 years. of Jim Baker, DJE.
just following the rules.
No, it's good. And it's important because it provides transparency. I think the thing that we
But
get
Rick's
stuck
taking
on.
up that mantle.
I know, yeah, he is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
it's all good.
you need people looking at stuff.
We
Right.
do, we
So
do.
it should be 20,000.
Oh, yeah, Matt, can you make that 20,000?
For DJE, Matt.
And Matt, you can link the policies right in there, like make DJE hyperlink. You can do it later, but just so that DBC, DJE, and EC are easy for the community to find when they're looking at this
I
document.
think DJE should be 10,000, Tom. But that's
No, it's
only-
It says,
Well-
it says 20,000 in the,
I
DJ.
know, I know, that's what it says.
Yeah, it needs to be, because if it's too low, then we have to start going for bids for like books,
Okay,
right? It can get really weird.
okay, now, page 3, under window replacement for DJ Bakey.
Yes,
The last time we talked about this, you had agreed to give the facilities committee a tour to show us those windows
sure,
and school.
sure.
Okay.
Why don't we schedule it, why don't we have the next facilities committee meeting at the, Bakey Elementary School?
On the 19th?
Yes,
I don't know how much time is there between committee meetings, because I know I have a personnel meeting that day too.
Oh, that's right.
So I'd have to get from there to here or to the high school.
yeah,
So the 19th, facilities is at 3:30, personnel is at 4:30,
So you have to go to personnel.
nice is at 5.
How long do you think a tour of, well, it depends on the agenda. Too.
Well,
yeah. Honestly, the CIP,
I don't know what your schedules look like. I'm gonna be at Bakey tomorrow doing the coffee cart. I don't know if maybe,
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if you can show me and I can take a look at what they look like. Maybe Jim, you can stop in during the.
Yeah, what
Yeah, this is gonna be a
what time is that?
Coffee cart, meeting, 8 to unload, and I think they're gonna wait until.
How about give people coffee?
I got such a full schedule.
No, I'm saying, I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
I'm
so-
retired, but I have a full
Yeah,
schedule.
I know. You live with Andy.
So I can maybe take a look at them tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? And then if you, that way you don't have to go, we don't have to do it at the school, the next meeting, and if you can stop in during the week sometime.
Okay,
Between that and Thursday.
Whatever works for you guys.
yeah, okay. Sounds good.
I will definitely show you, Rick, tomorrow morning.
Well, with Matt.
So, Matt, are these windows a matter of replacing the latches?
Yeah, so this is gonna be something we're gonna have to dig into, because
Okay,
it could be. Right now, what you'll find is some of the windows actually stick.
Yeah.
And then some of them work and the latches work, and some of them where the latches just don't work at all.
are
So
they metal
it's
windows?
a specific age of windows.
Are
It's
they
it's
metal or
in,
plastic?
they're metal.
So has anybody tried a little WD-40?
Actually, it's what it seems like is like the jam is like out. You can't close it to get the latch to latch.
I see, okay.
So it's
I'd like to look at that
absolutely.
regularly.
And again, and this is just like investigating repairs or replacements. This is not the repair or the replacement.
Right,
We're coming up with solutions. Because right now the windows, we can latch the windows. What we do is we put a stick in the window. Because the windows slide. So you just put a stick in so it doesn't
like
slide.
that stick holds them up. Anything else on that? Okay. The one after air exchange, fire suppression and alarm.
Yes, this one.
That alarm is aging and there's issues with the techs understanding, having the knowledge to repair them.
Yes.
I just want to put in there for the public's knowledge that the fire alarm is working but aging.
That is perfectly fine and true.
Okay, that's it for me.
I forget we're on camera. 6 years I've done this with you. How long have you done with them?
Oh, we 17.
Yeah,
18?
yeah.
Yeah, this is good though.
It is good. No, Jim and I have a
remember one of the town meetings. Well, town, but maybe. When they were doing the capital plan, one of the selectmen, I won't say who, looked at me and said, "You expect us, when things are gonna have to be replaced?" I said, yeah, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
I mean, you
I'm
gotta
on
have,
our planning board and we're working on that CIP
You gotta have
for the town.
yeah,
I mean,
you gotta
we
have
just
an
don't have
idea.
one.
Gotta know what's coming up.
So we're done with the
And
formal
everybody
part of the
had
meeting.
an-
Yeah, you guys are.
The only
meeting-
stuff
wait,
we've
wait.
gotten is priority stuff from.
Hang on,
Can the two of you vote to recommend to forward this to the board for consideration next Wednesday?
Yeah, you wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to, recommend the CIP plan for board review next week. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll second that. On the condition that all the changes have been made, that we talked about.
Yeah, he made them while you were doing it.
Okay,
Yep, they're all in there.
so you'll send us that, Matt, as soon as you can?
Yes.
And
You're gonna vote?
Yeah, all in favor? Okay, it's approved.
All right, so Matt will share that with the board with plenty of time. Matt, can you share that with them tonight?
I'll share it with them right now, once the meeting's over.
I just
Well,
want-
yeah, just remember, I think we're gonna hyperlink, right, so just take your time.
Yeah,
Let's
take your time and check those
put
hyperlinks up in the
hyperlinks
top.
in and get all that stuff. and-
Yep.
Yeah, I have,
He's already done it.
Oh, okay, all right.
DVC,
I don't have this one.
Also listed as As, Bs, Cs, Ds.
no, because they're by building.
I know, I just wondered if there's that capability, so that there's kind of a look at, okay, this is how much we're gonna do this year, this is how much, you know,
We could probably, make a little cheat sheet
mm,
with like an Excel thing and just flip it.
mm,
But the way it is in here, it's by school.
okay.
So I think that's a good idea to look at it as like in clumps, right? This A is the, yeah,
Rid of
Like an
sometime.
annual expense.
yeah, that's a
I
good
mean, when
idea.
you're looking, for instance, at bonds, you're looking at a bond that in 2 years, potentially to propose to the voters. And it might be just good to understand when the current bond is over
right,
and do the timing for, you know, just.
like a
Just
sequence.
paying attention to kind of what's affordable, what can be done when.
Yes, and I think that some of the bigger things need to be discussed when the bond is done for the high school, so it's a time to get things, to capitalize. Sorry, I had to say it.
Or when you know it's gonna start ramping up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's an awful lot.
Jim, Matt, can you have tech come and shut off the computer, Jim? Can you adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, everybody else set?
Yeah.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Okay,